We had to wait a while, but the quarterbacks are flying off fast and furious. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you get all our breakdowns of the Desmond Ridder pick, the Malik Willis pick, and now the Matt Corral pick to the Carolina Panthers with number 94 overall as the Carolina Panthers trade back into the third round to pick up the Ole Miss quarterback, the Lane Kiffin protege, a man who is probably cutting loose in Vegas. And I haven't seen the full details. Traps, Chris Trapasso joining me, Will Brinson, to break this down. Do they give up this year's, like a fourth this year and a third next year?
Yes, 137 and 2023 third rounder for 94.
Okay, that's a terrible trade. This is not a good trade by the Carolina Panthers. Maybe Matt Corral's good. He was Ryan Wilson's number 1 overall quarterback in this class. I like him as a player. Like, he's got good anticipation, but is he? That pick might be a really good pick next year. It could be a top 70 pick next year. Why are you giving that up for Matt Corral in a quarterback class where he could have fallen to you in the 4th round anyway? Package a couple fourths for it. Look, if this feels like a Will Grier pick, and even if you like Matt Corral, I'm sorry, I don't love the idea of giving a future third for a team that's going to be quarterbacked by Sam Darnold and now Matt Corral, which also means that the Panthers couldn't figure out a way to trade for Baker Mayfield or Jimmy Garoppolo and maybe get a pick back with Baker Mayfield. I don't like this move by the Panthers. I thought they played it really smart to take Ike Ekwonu in the first round when the tackles fell to them and then wait. And now they sort of just be patient. Don't move up. This feels to me, Traps, like a David Tepper pressured move to go get the last young quarterback in a bad quarterback class in the 3rd round without a 3rd round pick. I give it an F.
Yeah, I mean, I gave it a much higher grade just again, and it sounds cheesy, but always because of the positional value. If he becomes good, then it'll be worth it. But I think everything that you said from a Panthers perspective, that 3rd rounder next year, I would have rather them parted with like a bunch of later round picks this year than that 3rd rounder in 2023. Because you mentioned that's probably going to be a top 70 selection. I think you broke down everything from a Panthers perspective really well. To me, I can talk about Matt Corral as a player. I didn't like his ball placement. I think he's got accuracy concerns, and that offense I think was even more elementary than what Malik Willis ran at Liberty. It was RPOs every single play. And the one concern too, or another concern with Matt Corral, he ran the ball a bunch at Ole Miss. He was using the design run game. He had that famous 20 carry game with over 100 yards, 120, 130 yards in Lane Kiffin's offense. He's not that type of athlete. He's not going to be able to bring that to the NFL. He can scramble a little bit, but he's not going to be that multi-dimensional dual threat running back once he gets to the NFL. And I think that's why he ultimately fell. And yes, it does feel like David Tepper said, hey, these quarterbacks are going. We're not leaving this draft having PJ Walker and Sam Darnold as our 2 quarterbacks on this roster.
They were 30 picks away from getting Matt Corral. He probably wasn't falling to him. But you know what? Take the gamble. And worst case is you draft Sam Howell, the local product, who, I mean, if you're flipping coins, I'm not sure that Sam Howell turns up that much worse than Matt Corral that often. And you gave up the pick they gave up for CJ Henderson this year. Their 3rd round pick this year was 70th overall. It doesn't matter who the Jaguars took, how the Jaguars got there. The Jaguars were holding a top 70 pick because the Panthers paid for CJ Henderson. If you give up the 70th overall pick plus 130 for Matt Corral, he needs to be he can't just be a flyer you take because you had a bunch of draft picks. He needs to be someone who impacts your organization. If he's not, this is a terrible pick.
And yeah, I just realized Sam Howell is still on the board, right?
Yeah, just wait for Sam Howell.
Wait for Sam Howell. He's younger. He's the local guy. He has a big arm. I think it's a stronger arm than Matt Corral. And you saw multiple seasons where he was trending toward being a 1st round pick. 2 years ago in 2020, Matt Corral was splitting time with another quarterback and was really just like a running quarterback that couldn't really throw the football that well, had double-digit interceptions. Waiting and hoping Sam Howell would have landed to you would have been a lot smarter for the Panthers than, again, that 2023 third rounder will loom large. And maybe it's just Matt Rule saying, hey, I just got to win now. But I don't think Matt Corral
How does Matt
is
Corral
really going to help you win now. Exactly. But
17 games
just
of
to address
Matt
the
Corral,
quarterback
your pick might be worse than 70 in the third round. All right, we'll unpack this in the recap. Make sure to get the full recap when we go live. Turn on alert, subscribe, rate, review, whatever it is you got to do, and give us your grade for Matt Corral in the comments.